Well, hello. Welcome to the show. Just thought I'd have a quick walk and talk. I've had a revelation about a movie that I've rewatched, and I wanted to do a bit of a sort of a re-review. So many movies these days, I don't know. They just keep missing the mark. I don't know if it's they're going woke and going broke, or they're just trying to milk old franchises, especially Disney and especially Lucasfilm. They've drained that. They've beat that horse to death. And this particular one is about Indiana Jones. The recent Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. Everyone's talked that one to death. It's pretty obvious it is not popular with anyone, really, whether it's the fans or the critics. And with that one, money talks. And I don't know if it'll be acclaimed as a box office success. You spend that much money on a movie that has a built-in fan base, how can you mess it up, you know? But they did. You spend almost $300 million and then a couple $100 million on marketing, and the rest goes to the movie theaters. You know, you're looking at having to make $1 billion just to break even. So, anyway, having said that, Dial of Destiny, not an Indiana Jones movie that we wanted. Nobody asked for it. Nothing to do with Harrison Ford's age. He's still quite the larrikin. He's hilarious. If you see him in interviews with Conan O'Brien, he's still hilarious. And yeah, he is getting on in age. But look, that's about being smart and how you write the movie for the character. He can still be Indiana Jones in his 80s. He can just do different things. And it doesn't help when you cast him next to someone whose entire job is just to upstage him the entire time. And that's the insufferable Phoebe Waller-Bridge character of Helena as his goddaughter. And that's all she really does through the movie, is prove how she's awesome and she's a lady boss, and he's just an old man. And just all in all, not a good ending to such a beloved character. So, based on that and there's a actor and writer strike in Hollywood, so I don't think we're not gonna see a lot of great movies coming out. Not that they've been coming out anyway. So I rewatched a movie that has been ripped apart before, and that's Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Yes, we already had the movie we bagged. We already had the movie we didn't ask for, and that one was not well received. I don't know, you're immediately going to say, oh, so this one's so bad, you're just going to watch that one and prop it up saying, oh, well, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing, and I'm going to be perfectly honest. Again, we didn't ask for either of these movies. If you're an Indiana Jones purist, there's only 3. And the final, literally, is riding off into the sunset in The Last Crusade. And that's the truth. You can't beat that. You can't beat Harrison Ford and Sean Connery riding off into the sunset. That is the perfect ending. But if you had to have a movie that showed Indy in his older years, you know, where does he end up if you're curious? Well, I say this to you. Give that respect to the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull instead. Pretend that is the final movie. I'm not saying you have to add it to your collection, but you know what? I was someone who really bagged that movie out. And I watched it with fresh eyes, knowing that it could be so much worse. And you know what? No, it wasn't that bad. So let's break it apart just a bit. And yeah, there'll be spoilers, but this is mostly because I want you to rewatch it. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, I really want you to just rewatch Crystal Skull and just tell me what you think. So, first of all, it was filmed in 2008, so Harrison Ford is only in his 60s. And yeah, that does make a difference. That's tantamount to Tom Cruise's age. And yes, he can do a bit more, and he did do a bit more. I think it's set in a time that's still relevant to the character. It's set in 1957. So you're into the 50s, and you're into more the communists and Russia and Cold War and spies, and of course the nuclear age. And immediately just contrasting the character, just being better written for him. He's not being made a joke of or the butt of jokes. He's still respected as a professor, which I'm sorry, that is important. And in Dial of Destiny, he's just, mocked in class, and it's sad and embarrassing. And that's not how you respect a character like that. So in Crystal Skull, he's still teaching, still doing fine. Again, spoilers if you haven't seen it. Yes, he lost his dad, but he gets another surprise, which I think is a more relevant one. And at the time, we had a go at that surprise. I'm talking about Shia LaBeouf popping in as his long lost son, Mutt. You know what? Comparing that to the insufferable goddaughter, I'll take Mutt any day. I'll take Shia LaBeouf. I'll take him really trying to get into that character and complimenting Indiana Jones. And just in the, even if it is a fake world, we get into that. We get involved with it, okay? Any world building, it's important to fans because you associate with the character and it lives forever in your mind. And the fact that he and Marion could have had a kid, totally feasible and just makes more sense. So anyway, that alone is a better story. So he's still a teacher. It's in the 50s, and just as far as it being shamed for cringeable scenes and CGI, you know what? It had a lot less than Dial of Destiny. There were at least practical shots, cinematography. It was still directed by Spielberg, and it was still Spielberg and Lucas's story. And if you didn't like the sci-fi spin on it, well, blame Lucas for that, all right? He had been wanting to put something more sci-fi into Indiana Jones from the start. So if you read or watch any of the behind the scenes, you see that he pressured Spielberg into that one a bit. So that's not his fault. And scenes like the opening scene taking place in the New Mexico desert, very similar to obviously supposed to be like a Trinity test, although that happened in the 40s obviously, but I'm sure the US were still doing nuclear bomb testing, and Indiana Jones gets caught in one of those fake cities that you've seen with all the fake facades that they would blow up to see what would happen, to see the destructive force of the bomb. And in a way, that's a bit of poking fun at his age, but in a respectful way, not in a horrible way. He's a bit startled. He finds himself surrounded by mannequins, and he's like, "Oh, this isn't good." And yes, again, spoilers, but he ends up during a countdown. The bomb's about to drop. He's freaking out. So he hides in a fridge. And the long-running joke, again, that's just a funny sort of pop culture joke anyway. Lead line fridges. Fridges from the 50s used to be lead line, which is, of course, not good. But lead line is good if you're wanting to protect yourself against radiation. So, yes, he hides in an old-fashioned fridge, and it blows up, and the fridge flies through the air, well, far, like miles, and slams on the ground, and he pops out, and he's fine. Okay, people had to go at that. But you know what? Again, looking back and thinking about the character in Indiana Jones, and even some of the other, you know, wacky circumstances he gets into in the other movies. In Temple of Doom, again, if we want to get picky and you want to pick apart Crystal Skull, well, in Temple of Doom, he did jump out of a plane with a raft and no parachute, landed on the side of a mountain in the snow, and they were all fine, and then fell off that mountain, landed into a raging river, and then they were all fine. So we forgive that one. How can we forgive Temple of Doom? I'm just saying, you really have to put it into perspective now. When things get worse, the things that you thought were bad end up being not that bad. So yeah, so it's not believable. Well, if it's not believable, you shouldn't watch Indiana Jones anyway. So again, if those are the worst parts, I don't think they're that bad anymore. And again, even the opening scene really has an Indiana Jones feel. There's actually some great shots. They're doing a very 50s style drag race. There's 50s music sprawled throughout the movie, which really fits, you know, really well in between the John Williams score. And it's really fun. And again, Crystal Skull had more practical effects, practical cinematography, really good shots. Some of the color palette's a little bit weird, but again, that's being super picky, and it's still not as bad as Dial of Destiny. You've got John Hurt playing one of his old friends named Oxley. That's all right. He does really well with that, playing a crazy scientist who's lost his mind. Cate Blanchett plays one of the Russian baddies. She does all right with her Russian accent, which comes and goes. The only one I would think that actually stands out as not really working really well, Ray Winston as one of his old mates, Mac. It's funny, all the scenes with him just seem a bit out of place and jarring. They don't seem like they really would have ever been friends, and he ends up being a turncoat anyway, and it actually fits because he just doesn't seem like a nice guy. So yeah, that doesn't quite fit, but you know, everything else kind of works. And of course, Marion comes back, and you know what? That's just it's a beautiful thing. And again, spoilers. I'm sorry, but this is about rewatching it. They go on this adventure together. She doesn't try to upstage him, and you know what? The things that she does great, the things that she does as a hero as well, it's not about upstaging him. She's not a lady boss. You know why? She's earned that. She didn't just pop out of nowhere and said, "I'm amazing at everything. Watch me be amazing. Hey everyone, aren't I amazing? Yeah, you're amazing." No, she's awesome because she's Marion, and she's already been on adventures with him. She's been on serious adventures, and she is a strong female lead, and she's earned it, and she's great. And she's a character that we love. And yes, they get married at the end. What's wrong with that? How awesome is that? How nice is it to end on a happy note? And yes, he finds out that Shia LaBeouf character's Mutt is Marion's son and his son. I think that's lovely. Before, I thought it was cheesy. Now, again, it could get much worse. So, the sci-fi element, the Crystal Skull. Again, Spielberg and Lucas do like to base these loosely on real things. There have been these discoveries in the sort of the Mayan and the Aztec world, and those histories where supposedly they had amazing technology far beyond what they should have had during that time. And so yeah, they always try to base it loosely on something that's realistic, since he is an archaeologist. And the crystal skulls aren't that far-fetched, but again, it's not the worst thing in the world now. It could be worse, right? Dial of Destiny. So yeah, that takes them on an adventure to find this crystal skull, and they have to return it to the Aztec temple. And look, there's a lot of great location shots, and and there's these waterfalls, and there's Mexico and Brazil, and that part about the movie is really cool. And like any Indiana Jones movie, you'll expect a bad guy to be killed in some horrific way in the third act, and this one, it doesn't disappoint. They're in the Amazon, in the rainforest, and there's these horrible killer fire ants, and well, I won't say any more, but it is horrific, and it's fun, and it fits well within the lore of Indiana Jones. And of course, there's always a classic bit with a snake where Indiana Jones is forced to face his fear of snakes, and this one's done in I think a practical and cheeky way. Yeah, there's some cringy things in it still. I think there's the scene where there's Shia LaBeouf swinging through the rainforest trees with a bunch of monkeys, a bunch of CGI monkeys, and it's just cheesy and cringy. But again, if we're going to compare cheesy and cringy, then Dial of Destiny would be ripped apart. So yes, I am comparing two mediocre movies, but I'm going to be honest, if I had to fit one in with an older Indiana Jones at the end of his years, but as one that I think fits in better with the original three, then I now choose Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And put it this way, if it was playing on TV, I'll watch it. Dial of Destiny, I might actually turn it off. That's the difference. So I'm just saying, I think it's well worth you giving it another chance. And yeah, there's some great scenes. Look, they allude to the fact that Indiana Jones was a spy. It's during the Cold War, and I think that's awesome too. It makes you think, oh yeah, that makes sense. Someone with his expertise and knowledge. That's cool to think that he went on those adventures as well. And again, it's set in '57, so it's got that '50s feel. There's a fight between jocks and greasers, and none of that feels cheesy. That actually feels like a Spielberg, Lucas type of movie. And yeah, I'll be honest, as much as people hated this movie back then, this one is watchable. The characters are more endearing, and nobody is there to make fun of and destroy the main character, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge did. Sorry. And again, I'm not saying it's that actress's fault. She's fine. I just think, I don't know, especially with Disney, I don't know who the writers are or producers, or if it is just Kathleen Kennedy. They just don't even understand the characters they're writing for. I'm not even talking about fan service. I don't even care about that. Don't even do fan service. Just at least maybe watch the first 3 movies. How about that? Start there. Why not? Get a feel for it. Get an idea of where it left off at least. I don't even think they did that. I think they just start from complete scratch and say, oh, nah, I'm just going to do my own thing. Indiana Jones, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what his name is or what the history is of the character. We're just going to start where we want to start. And that doesn't work. So yeah, Crystal Skull, not that bad now. I say give it a watch. And yeah, even Shia LaBeouf is not as annoying and insufferable as the Helena character. And yeah, you get to see the family go on an adventure. So that's my thoughts, and I don't know, give it a rewatch and see what you think. All right, thanks for watching. Catch you later.